A camera for $15. How about a wedding dress for $30? If you've ever shopped online, you've probably come across Temu.
Temu arrived like a glitch in the system. One moment, no one had heard of it. The next, it was everywhere, sliding into your TikTok feed, hijacking your Instagram ads, and promising the kind of deals that defy common sense. 49-cent gadgets, $2 headphones, shoes cheaper than a cup of coffee, an endless stream of free gifts, countdown timers, flashing confetti, and dopamine-packed minigames. If you've ever opened the app, you already know the feeling. Temu doesn't ask you to shop. It lures you into a world where everything feels urgent, magical, and suspiciously cheap. Like a carnival, built by someone who's studied psychology a little too well. But here's the part no one talks about. Temu isn't a shopping platform. It's a strategy. A global takeover plan disguised as discounts. And the deeper you look, the more terrifying it becomes. The first time you open Temu, you feel it instantly. Something is off. A spinning wheel begs you to tap it. A mystery box pulses at the bottom of the screen. A bright orange timer counts down from 10 minutes. As if the fate of your financial future hangs on buying a $1 phone holder before it disappears forever. None of this is accidental. Every bounce, sound cue, and animation is crafted to trigger the same neurological response you'd get from a slot machine. It's the psychological mechanism that keeps people glued to TikTok, opening loot boxes in video games, and losing their paychecks in casinos. Temu studied those mechanisms, and then built an entire shopping experience around them. You're not simply browsing. Temu is guiding you, nudging you, testing your impulses like a lab experiment. It wants you to stop thinking in terms of, do I need this? And start thinking, what else might I find? Once that shift happens, Temu has you. Because now, you're no longer shopping for items, you're shopping for dopamine. Temu's prices should not exist. Not under any normal business logic. Nothing about a $2 pair of headphones makes sense, or a 49-cent screwdriver, or a $3 power drill that somehow comes with free shipping. And yet Temu keeps delivering millions of packages at a time. How? Because Temu isn't operating under normal economics. It's operating under PDD holdings. PDD is worth billions, with access to a manufacturing ecosystem so large it makes Western supply chains look antique. Temu doesn't care if it loses money today. In fact, losing money is the entire strategy. Every $2 gadget shipped across the world at a loss, every discounted item Temu practically gives away, is an investment in one outcome: dominance. Amazon did this in the early 2000s, Uber did it to taxis, Netflix did it to cable. But Temu's doing it faster, louder, and at a scale that borders on economic warfare. The short-term goal? Destroy competition through impossibly low prices. The long-term goal? Control the global flow of cheap goods. And once Temu becomes the default place to shop, that's when the real game begins. To understand Temu, you have to understand where its products come from. Temu doesn't own factories. It taps into an enormous network of manufacturers. Many tiny, many unknown spread across China. Imagine thousands of factories, each desperately trying to survive inside of Temu's ecosystem. When one factory lists a phone for $3, another quickly lists it for $2, then $1, and then 50 cents. It becomes a brutal race to the bottom, where the only way to stay alive is to produce faster and cheaper than your competitors. And that pressure doesn't just affect owners, it affects workers. Investigations have found evidence of workers pulling extreme hours and razor-thin profit margins that push corners to be cut. It's not every factory, but it's enough to understand the reality. Temu's ultra-low prices don't come from technological genius. They come from squeezing every drop of efficiency from a supply chain operating on the edge. Here's where the story gets darker. When you install Temu, you're not just giving the app access to your browsing behavior, you're giving it access to the most intimate parts of how your brain works. Temu tracks how quickly you scroll, how long you pause, which colors catch your attention, your spending threshold, your patterns of hesitation, what time of day you're impulsive, what category you always return to. This isn't data, it's psychology. Temu's machine learning models compare your behavior to millions of other users. It begins predicting how you think, what you desire, and what you can't resist. And once it understands your patterns, the app reshapes itself around you. Temu doesn't want to respond to consumer behavior. It wants to engineer it. Temu isn't optimizing for sales, it's optimizing for addiction. The damage Temu is causing happens quietly, almost invisibly, until suddenly, it's everywhere. Local shops struggle first. Why buy a $10 phone case when Temu sells one for 49 cents? Why buy a $30 hoodie when Temu sells it for $5? Then, small e-commerce businesses get squeezed. Amazon sellers feel the impact. Even Amazon, for the first time in 2 decades, has an actual threat. Amazon can't match Temu's prices. It has warehouses to run, employees to pay, safety standards to meet, shipping infrastructure to maintain. Temu bypasses all of that. And while the world enjoys cheap goods, something larger is happening. Global manufacturing shifts, trade tensions rise, landfills overflow with disposable products, small businesses vanish, consumer expectations collapse, local economies erode. When prices drop too low, the real cost is paid somewhere else. Temu's long-term strategy is shockingly simple. Make the world dependent. It is following the exact same formula Amazon used. Step 1. Lose billions. Step 2. Crush competition. Step 3. Become the default. Step 4. Control the supply chain. Step 5. Quietly raise prices. And Step 6. Profit forever. Temu is still in Step 1, the most dangerous step. Because winning consumers during this phase is easy. The prices are irresistible, the deals are addictive, the dopamine hits are constant. But imagine a future where local shops are gone, Amazon is weakened, small brands have vanished, factories rely on Temu for survival, consumers rely on Temu for essentials, and Temu controls the world's cheapest supply chain. That's when you see the real intention. Cheap wasn't generosity, cheap was bait. Temu doesn't want to win against Amazon. It wants to replace Amazon, replace Wish, replace eBay, replace your local stores, replace everything except itself. If Temu succeeds, we enter a world where manufacturing power is concentrated, consumer data is centralized, shopping behavior is manipulated, prices rise silently, and competition becomes impossible. The global economy becomes dependent on a single pipeline. A pipeline owned by a corporation with no borders, no loyalty, no responsibility beyond growth. This is not a shopping trend. It's an economic shift with consequences we're only beginning to understand. The greatest trick Temu ever pulled was convincing the world it was just an online bargain bin. It isn't. Temu is a data operation, a psychological engine, a supply chain dominator, a global disruptor, and the fastest corporate takeover we've seen in modern history. Cheap prices are the mask. Dependence is the goal. The question isn't, is Temu dangerous? The question is, will we recognize the danger before Temu becomes impossible to remove? Because Temu isn't just on our phones. It's in our habits, our routines, our impulses. And slowly, it's working its way into the world's economic foundation. The takeover has already started. Most people just haven't noticed yet.